Okay, I'm hoping we're good on live stream. But without any further ado, I'd love to bring up Apollonia Thomas, our lead educator who's on our today. Please give a round of applause.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Good, good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully, there's not too much of a delay here. But we're going to be covering NFTs today. I don't know if anyone's new to NFTs or if anybody's very familiar with NFTs, but hopefully I can just really help to give you guys a foundational understanding on what NFTs are. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I actually am an ex-professional athlete. I got into the Web3 space, honestly, like in 2015. However, I got into NFTs and DAOs in particular last year, really at the start of 2021. Really have done a lot of different things within this space, you know, from starting projects, consulting, advising on projects, and then also just really just helping to build teams and community management for some of the different projects I've worked on. So we do ask that you guys save your questions for the end. There is going to be a little bit of engagement, so hopefully that's okay. But just please, if you can, save your questions for the end and just understand that this is not financial advice. All right, so I'm going to ask a few questions. So by a show of hands, who here owns a smartphone? Okay, I was expecting to see everybody. Okay, so who uses their smartphones to take pictures? All right, and who uses their smartphone for processing business payments? Okay, fewer hands. All right, so who in here has used NFTs to sell a product or service for their business? Okay, a few hands. Would anybody like to share? Would you like to share?
Sure.
Okay, let me see here. I'll take this. Okay. So we're gonna have, here we go.
No, it was, I have a cousin of mine. He does music videos.
Okay.
He's the director out of the West Coast, and I actually helped him build out some NFTs just kind of as a side project. And a couple of our NFTs are currently on OpenSea. So it's kind of a side deal, just kind of get some exposure to that, and just trying to take advantage of what opportunities out there.
All right, awesome. All right, I saw about 3 hands up. Would anybody else like to share?
So we actually have a business that sells 3D galleries in the metaverse.
Okay.
And those are being sold as an NFT.
Okay.
Individuals can upload their own pictures, and those are also being created as an NFT at the back end.
Okay, awesome. These are both really great use cases. You know, so what we're going to be covering today is what is an NFT, buying NFTs, launching an NFT project, and then also just the future of NFTs. So really what we want to be able to do today is just really give you a foundational understanding on what NFTs are and just really prepare you for the future of, you know, Web3. Okay, and let's see here. So what is an NFT? Do I have any volunteers on what an NFT is? No? Okay.
Non-fungible token.
Non-fungible token is correct. Do I have any other volunteers or anybody that wants to dispute him? Okay, so no disputes. Okay, nice. All right, so what we're gonna, you know, talk about here a little bit is digital versus reality. What we have here is we have a few displays. We're comparing, you know, digital art to real world items. So what you'll see here is the top illustration is going to be a Beeple's piece of artwork. It's a generative piece of art. And where we're really wanting to look at here is the price. It was worth $69 million. And if no one else is familiar, on the right, we have a pink diamond. It is worth about $53 million. So I'm really just showing you guys this just so you get an idea of what this space really is and what are some of the things that it's comparing, you know, comparatively what it's going to look like. So next we'll have a Mutant 8 with a speedboat. So this Mutant 8 here is about 90,000. This speedboat is about 75,000. And then last but not least, we have a CryptoPunk. It's about 266,000. And you have a Lamborghini, which is about $250,000. So that's about 250,000. So this is just to kind of give you an idea of what, what these things are, comparing out to be. All right, so next we have non-fungible versus fungible. So the main difference that we have here between a non-fungible and fungible token is that a non-fungible token, it is not interchangeable. And what that simply means is that you cannot exchange these and get the same amount of value in return. So if we look at this example here, we have two different homes. Essentially, these could have the same two base framework, just different amenities, maybe being in a different location. All of those are really going to come out to being like your utility or the rarity. So that is why you cannot exchange these two homes and get the same back in return. Now, if we look at the dollars, on the other hand, you can have Jack with a dollar, you can have Jill with a dollar. They can come up to each other, they can give each other those dollars, and then get the same amount of value in return. So what this just means is the dollars is always going to be worth the same, when you're exchanging it. But fun fact, the dollar is actually no longer backed by the gold standard. That goes all the way back to 1971 when President Richard Nixon, declassified the dollar being on the gold standard. So that's just a little fun fact. If you guys want to look something up, I think that would be very interesting to learn about as well. All right, so as the gentleman here in the front row just mentioned, an NFT is certainly a non-fungible token, but some other ways to think about a non-fungible token is a digital asset, as I mentioned before, also a product or a service, and then also you can see it as, any sort of new funding tool, so a payment processor. It could be anything along the lines of that, but it's all on the blockchain. So it's going to be recorded, and you'll be able to have that proof of ownership. So that's what you just need to understand as far as like what an NFT is. Okay. And if I'm going too fast, please feel free to slow me down. I don't want to go too fast at all. All right, so next we're going to be covering the value chain of an NFT. So what that is just simply breaking down where is it listed? Is it on a marketplace or is it on a website? Some of the more popular marketplaces, we will be covering those later. Next will be the IPFS. So what sort of system is it built on? Is it using media from a picture, or is it going to be a GIF? Is it going to be a video? What sort of media you're using for this system? Next, you're going to consider a digital wallet. So the digital wallet is what you're going to use to actually purchase your NFT. Next, you're going to have a smart contract. That's going to be the software system, the code, so that sort of thing is what we'll break that all down a little bit more later. And then lastly is going to be the public blockchain. And this is where you'll be able to really go and see, the ownership, how many times how many transactions have been made, how many times there's been transfers, that sort of thing. Okay. So I always love this slide just because most of the time people always ask, well, can't I just screenshot my, why can't I screenshot? Why can't I right click save? You can, however, you won't actually have rights to the intellectual property. So what happens is you have a person who owns this piece of artwork, we can say a Bored Ape. I think, most people are pretty familiar with a Bored Ape. You can easily take a screenshot and go and try and resell it. However, you don't own the rights to that piece of art. So what can happen is the person who owns it, they can now come and sue you just because you've used their property. So that's why you can't just right click save, any piece of art. So big brand adoption is another thing that I think that a lot of people should really take note of. Some of the major players that I've seen in this space have been Nike. There's Dolce & Gabbana, there's Gucci, Nickelodeon. There's a few major players in this space, but then also, in the blockchain space in general, you have BlackRock, you have Meta, you have PayPal, you have a lot of different major players in this in this game is what I'll call it. And this here is just a spreadsheet just to kind of show you guys these are some of the major players. And if you would like access to this to kind of get a long list of who else is in here, you can just scan this QR code here and you'll be able to get to that. All right, so this slide here, we're pretty much just breaking down who are the major players within the marketplace. Some of the major players are OpenSea. So within this first graph, I'm not sure if everyone can see it, but from the first graph, what you're gonna see here is that OpenSea has literally, been a major player. They're the blue. Like I said, for those in the back who may not be able to see this very clearly, OpenSea is the blue. The green looks rare. And then the little purple that you can see more so over towards the August 2021, that's Larva Labs. So all of these marketplaces here are some major players and they received the most volume over the past year for NFT sales. In the bottom left, so yes, that should be the bottom left for you guys as well. So in the bottom left here, you'll see buyers and sellers. So this is gonna display, for the orange, it's gonna be the sellers. For the green, it's gonna be the buyers. So you're gonna be able to notice here that there's more buyers over the past year than there were sellers. So there was a higher demand than there was for supply. So in the bottom right, we have here is just pretty much showing you the transactions. How many transactions were made over the course of the year and where were most of the transactions made, which will be with OpenSea, which is the blue here. So I hope that I broke that down pretty clearly for you guys, but it's just kind of to give you a little bit of a, a graphic display of what has really happened over the course of the year. All right, so next we're going to be discussing buying NFTs. And on this slide here, this is Serious and Cool People Collection. If you'd like to learn more, you can definitely scan the QR code. But it's a really cool project, and I think you guys should definitely take a look into it. All right, so now we're going to be talking about the purchasing process. All in all, when you're discussing, buying NFTs, some of the main things you need to know is, do I have cryptocurrency? The first thing you need to know is, do you have cryptocurrency? If you don't have cryptocurrency, you need to buy cryptocurrency. And where you're going to buy cryptocurrency is on an exchange. Usually like a crypto.com or a Coinbase, just somewhere where you can buy crypto and have it, transferred to your digital wallet. Next, you're either going to need to have a digital wallet or you're going to have to create a digital wallet. If you don't have a digital wallet already, you will need to create one. So that would be the next step for that process there. Next, I would say, do your research. I always say do your research. It's so easy to be like, oh, I want an NFT. These sound so cool. I just want to make a lot of money, but that's not how it goes. You really need to look into the project a little more and understand what it is you're getting yourself into. And after that, you're ready to purchase an NFT. So you go ahead, purchase you an NFT, and you'll have it in your wallet as well. So, that's how you go about that. If you want extra protection, you can get a cold wallet, or these could also be known as a hard wallet. But, it's just really, advised that you do it, but you don't have to. So that's where we are in regards to that. And if you guys would like to learn, more about digital wallets, we do have a course that you can kind of, just follow along a little bit too. If you want to just scan this QR code here and you'll be able to learn more. All right, so next we're going to talk about popular use cases. So some of the main use cases I've seen in this space have been art. So as you can see here, there's various forms of art. This could be fine art, pictures. A lot of people have seen PFPs. You've probably heard the term PFP. That's really where you kind of have people using Bored Apes or CryptoPunks as their profile pictures on social media. You also have generative art. You have photography. You have memes. And then obviously there's various other forms, as I mentioned before, there's writing, there's music, there's also in-game assets like metaverse assets, things of that nature. So these are some of the major forms or some of the more popular forms of NFTs that you'll see within this space. Okay, and as Nick mentioned earlier, there's also a proof of attendance. So this here is a proof of attendance. It is just NFT that's just displaying that, hey, I attended this event, I'm cool. So it's pretty much just like a flex-worthy NFT that, a lot of people like to have in their wallets just to show that, hey, I was here and, you should have been here. All right, so why are NFTs? Why are NFTs, as I was mentioning earlier, our NFTs have been the major use of a lot of NFTs in today's, NFT space. What it has really amounted to is creators a lot of time using NFTs to really be able to take more of their ownership back from the art and some of the different work that they're creating. So what's happening a lot of times, if you'll have these different artists, they'll go out, they'll use these museums, they'll use these different platforms, and they have to pay a very huge fee in order to actually use it. So what it's been able to do is just empower creators to be able to take back some of their, what they deserve or own. Next is collectability. You will notice that there will be trading cards. There will be all sorts of memorabilia, whether that be clothes, whether that be just, let's see, like a Mighty Ducks. Like, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Mighty Ducks, but there's like different trading cards and stuff that people are, wanting to get into. Next would be investment. So investment is like, what are you getting back in return? Like, what are you getting back in return? IP rights. Will you be able to use this NFT to profit off of it? Can you build a brand behind this NFT? So there are some NFTs out there where you can actually build a brand. So one of the ones that I've come across is Seed Phrase, which is a CryptoPunk. It's probably I think it's probably the most expensive NFT there is in the CryptoPunk collection. So, I think this is a really great example here just to kind of show you can build a brand around NFTs. So if that's something that's kind of went over some of you guys' heads, definitely take that approach. And last but not least is community. So community is just a matter of being able to say, hey, I have social currency. I'm connected to this community. We can build together. So I would say that is probably the best way to look at NFTs from the art side of things, just understanding, hey, we can all come together, we can all build together, and we can all really kind of like leash off of each other. So there is an ugly side of NFTs. The ugly side will definitely have to be rug pulls. Rug pulls are when, you'll have these creators. I don't even like to call rug pullers creators, but rug pullers, a lot of time what they'll do is they'll create a collection. They'll put the collection out, they'll sell it out, and then they'll just wipe it clean. Wipe their sites clean. They take everything and they run, leaving the collectors with no value. So this here's an example. It was called the Frosties. The Frosties was an 8,888 collection. What the owners did was they created a collection. They sold out. After they sold out all of their NFTs, they took down the website and they ran off with the money. So what happened was Department of Justice came in and said, "Oh, you guys that's fraudulent, like you're money laundering." So pretty much they end up in a case with the Department of Justice of the US, and that's where we're at today with Frosties. So rug pulls are a real thing, and I would definitely suggest doing your research, and you guys don't have to deal with, Frosties. So due diligence. So we're going to touch on a few points. Like I said, this kind of ties back to, the doing your research. So number one, who is the product team? Who's behind this team? Do they have a track history? Have they built other projects? How successful were those projects? These things are all questions that you should ask in order to really understand how valid a project is. Next would be price. Just understanding, is it worth it? Is this a product that you should even be buying? Are you going to get anything in return? Next, I would say is security. Just understanding, is the project actually like a valid project? Is a smart contract actually a smart contract that hasn't just been forked from GitHub? Like, just really understand what it is that you're working with. Next, I would say is rarity. How rare is your NFT? Can your NFT actually make you something? Like, is it something that looks like everybody else's? So just really understand, do you have an NFT that looks any different than anybody else's? And next, I would mention resellability. I think that's very important for people to understand that if you're going to collect an NFT, then make sure it's one that you can actually profit from, because sometimes people will just go and get an NFT and just use it kind of like as a proof of attendance, like it's just flex worthy. You can't do anything with it. Like, why would you transfer a POAP? So make sure it's an NFT that you could actually potentially possibly profit off of. Next would be engagement. So engagement is very important from just a community approach. If you're going to be, getting an NFT, go out and see what the community is saying. Like, is there community engagement? How's the Discord? Like, if you're going to, use Discord, how's the Twitter channels? How's Instagram? How does all this look? So just make sure it's not just a bot run, NFT collection. Next, I would say is utility. So utility, as I mentioned before, IP rights is major. Making sure that you can use this NFT as your own, because sometimes NFT collections, they'll make it to where you don't have rights to the IP. So you can't resell it. You can't, you can resell it. You can't actually go out and build a brand around it. So that's, that I think would be very important to understand, is what sort of utility and how much access do you have to this NFT. And then last is hype. I was actually speaking with someone earlier in regards to this. I think hype is very important. If no one's talking about the NFT, then more than likely it's not an NFT worth getting into. So that would be the last thing that I would cover in regards to like the due diligence of actually doing your research on NFTs. Okay, I went too far. All right, so next we'll discuss marketplaces. Some of the most popular marketplaces are OpenSea, Looks Rare, Larva Labs, Rarible, Super Rare, and Foundation. So all of these are really great marketplaces that you guys can actually go to and get an NFT that has been well doxed. So these are all great marketplaces. If you would like to learn more about this, definitely do check out Dune.com. It's a great platform to really understand the analytics behind the NFT space. All right, and avoiding scams. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier in regards to just understanding what it is that you're dealing with. Sometimes you'll have that random, I'll call it a bot. I'll say it's a bot just because, sometimes people will impersonate themselves as robots as well. But you'll have a bot out there, just kind of sliding in your DMs or messaging you saying, hey, I got an NFT you might want. And it might be a Bored Ape. And you're just like, Bored Apes are worth like a quarter million dollars. Like, why would someone want to give me a Bored Ape? So pretty much what this amounts to is, don't trust it. If it seems too good to be true, more than likely it is too good to be true. And the other thing is, if you do trust it, at least reach out to the person. If you know them personally, if you're talking to them on Discord, then reach out to them on Instagram or text them. Just make sure you're actually getting what your money's worth. So more time than likely, like I said, if it's too good to be true, it is. Okay. All right, so next we're going to talk about launching an NFT project. These are all the steps that you should really follow. So you want to be able to get the idea down. That will always be the first step. If you don't have an idea, then you really don't have anything. So get your idea down, and then move to the next step. The next step is finding people who have a common vision as you. So build a team around people who kind of have the same mindset, are looking to kind of build the same thing, and then you go from there. Next, it would be, what is your plan? How far are you planning to take this thing? Sometimes people will build out these plans and not really have any longevity in the roadmap, and you'll get into an NFT collection and you're like, oh, I bought this piece of art, it's really cool, but 3 months down the road, they don't have anything for you. So it's just like, you're just kind of playing a waiting game. So make sure there's a plan. Next, as I mentioned, was the roadmap. So like I said, roadmap is very important. Make sure you have a plan, at least something quarterly, so that your community will know exactly what it is that you're planning to do next. Then you're going to build community. So building community is very important. I took to Discord. I do think that Discord is probably not your best, but however, you can do something with Discord. It's a great way to still kind of bring everybody to one central location to be able to communicate with people. But there are other platforms that you can use, like Twist, Slack. There's a number of other platforms that you can use. Next is create the artwork. If you haven't created your artwork by then, make sure you have just a decent piece of artwork, something that people will really think this is something worth buying. Then you're going to get into building utility. It's easy to have, I think this guy here on the front row, he said he had a music NFT. I think you said right?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Okay, so he said that he's doing NFTs through, I think he said music videos. If I'm wrong, definitely correct me later. But I think the perfect utility is having the music behind it, so regardless of what the artwork is really what the utility is in the end. So next, I would say marketing and pre-sales. Do people really want this product? So really get out there and do your research. Market research is what that would be. You're getting out and you're asking people, would you be interested in this product? Is this something that you would buy or you would want to sell? Next, I would say community feedback. So that comes back to the market research as well. It's what are people saying? Are people talking about it? Is there any hype? Are people seem to be interested in what it is that you're creating? And then you're prepared to launch. So these are the steps that I generally take when it comes to building an NFT collection, and these are the steps that I've seen others take as well when it came to building an NFT collection. All right. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All right, so next we're gonna go over the core components of a product or project management. So when it comes to building a successful NFT project, some of the components that you need to take note of is the product itself or the digital asset, the pricing, community, team, budget, roadmap, legal, and technology. So within all of these, there are different things that you will have to break down and understand as well. But some of the major things that you should understand when it comes to the product is just understanding that what type of media source are you using? Is it going to be an actual, is the utility actually a real world valuable utility? And then also just understanding, am I creating something that is going to make a change? So I'm big on social impact. So I think that if you're going to be creating anything from a digital standpoint, then make sure that it does have some sort of real world value. And next is pricing. Like I mentioned before, I do believe that pricing is very important. However, sometimes it is something that people miss when they kind of go with the freemium approach and they just want to give away all their NFTs just to kind of build the hype. I am guilty of this. That's the reason why I am speaking on it. I have definitely given away a lot of NFTs just to kind of get people to understand the space a little bit more. But definitely make sure you are building a product that can be resold or something that people are actually going to want. So your price is going to be important. Next is community. Are people engaging? Like as I mentioned earlier, you don't want to build a community or build a product that nobody wants to talk about. So that would literally be like the flatline answer that I would give in regards to that. And then it's team. When it comes to building, a successful NFT team, you do need to have things like an owner. You need to be like a product owner. You need to have a 3D digital architect, just someone who can actually create the art for you. You need a developer. So if you're not wanting to create your own smart contract, you are going to need a developer. You're going to need a community manager, somebody who's going to get out there and do the hard work, who's going to get out there and type, behind a computer or a cell phone, just making sure they're engaging with the community. You're also going to need somebody who's privy to social media. So if you're not privy to social media, then you're probably going to want to get yourself a social media manager. And then last but not least, you do want to have somebody who's well educated in the Web3 space. So all those things I think are very necessary when it comes to building a team for an NFT project. So next would be budget. So I would say the major things to just understand when it comes to building an NFT project is not something that's just going to be cheap. You're not just going to be able to go out and be like, hey, I'm going to create an NFT project for $500 and it's going to sell amazingly. It's probably not going to happen. You need to have a budget. You need to understand the different components and some of the different fees that are going to come up, whether that be gas fees, whether that be, giving up equity in your actual product, in your actual product vision. So these things are all very important in understanding when it comes to building an NFT project as well. Next will be the roadmap. The roadmap is pretty cut dry. You're gonna have to get out there and figure out what the pre-sales is like. Are people gonna want your project? Are people gonna want your product? Are people gonna want to resell it? Are you doing the old way of doing things of, creating a whitelist or an allow list and just being like, hey, you can only get this project if you do these steps, like if you retweet, if you follow me, if you do these things. Like, it's really just understanding how you want to go about your project as well. And next is legal. So legal is very important in the NFT space. Right now, we haven't really seen too much. However, I do think that we're kind of gearing up for more introduction to like legal fees, whether that be taxes, anything along the lines of that. You will need to know a little bit about legal. So you may want to get a lawyer or someone who, who's well educated on this space as well. So just making sure, the lawyer understands IP rights, making sure they understand just how smart contracts work as a whole, making sure they also understanding the equity side of things. Like, are you wanting to give up ownership in your collection? And then last but not least is technology. What blockchain do you want to build on? What sort of media are you wanting to use? Is it going to have real world value? Those things are all questions that you would need to ask when it comes to building a successful project for an NFT collection. All right, so next we're gonna break down technical a little bit more. This would be blockchain, IPFS, smart contracts, naming, platforms, and then also digital wallets. So the main things to take away from this is really just, what is the long-term plan? Like, are you wanting to build multi-chain? I wanted to keep this very foundational, so I didn't want to include everything here, but what blockchain do you want to build on? Make sure you really understand if it's a blockchain that's actually going to be able to last, more than a year, or is it a blockchain that's going to last more than 2 years? Just really understand the scope of that whenever you're looking to build a project. And next is, are you going to have fees? Like, you're going to build on Ethereum, you have to understand that you're going to deal with some pretty astronomical gas fees. So most of the time, I think the average is about $70 for, a Ethereum gas fee. But I think the low range is about $5 and the high is about $150. So if you guys are looking to build on Ethereum, just understand that you're going to have to deal with gas fees. Another thing is how easy is it to use? Sorry. So I would say Polygon is one of those ones that's very difficult to use. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that cryptocurrency, but if you do want to build on the blockchain Matic, then you will have to deal with, it's not as easy to use as something like an Ethereum or a Solana or a Tesla. It's really just a matter of what you're wanting to use. But just make sure you understand that there has to be some sort of long-term agreement to what it is that you're wanting to build on. Next would be storage. So when you're thinking about storage, you're wanting to consider security. You're wanting to consider adoption. You're wanting to consider how many people are going to be using this down the road. So these are the main things to think about when you're thinking of storage, because most platforms, they do have their own IPFS system built in. So something like OpenSea, it will have its own system built in. So this is not something that you have to worry about. Next would be the smart contract. Are you going to build your own smart contract? Are you going to go fork a smart contract? Or are you going to have a developer create you a smart contract? So that would be the main thing in regards to that. And then also understanding that developers are a little pricey. So sometimes developers can kind of get up in the 100K, even 200K range, for annual, service fee. So those things are all worth considering whenever you're thinking about what is it that I'm wanting to build. Next is naming. So naming is very important as well. I've seen a lot of .eth, I've seen .dao, I've seen .crypto. It's really, what is it that you're wanting to call your platform? So if you're gonna build on your own website, make sure it's a site in which people are gonna wanna actually come to and understand what it is they're coming to learn from you as well, or get from you. And then last but not least, it would be platforms, and then I'll put digital wallets together because I've kind of talked about digital wallets quite a few times. So platforms, it's understanding that, it's really all about integration. Like, how much are people going to be able to take away from using your platform? So that would be the main thing there when you're looking at the technical side of NFTs. And then when we look at the digital wallet, as I mentioned before, you do need to understand that you will need to have a digital wallet. It could be a multi-sig wallet. It could be a wallet that hosts multiple cryptocurrencies and just anything along the lines of that. But yes, you will need the digital wallet. You will need to have your seed phrase, especially if you're going to be someone who's going to use a cold wallet. So these things are all worth considering whenever you're looking into the technical side of an NFT collection. All right, so next we have the listing process. So when it comes to listing an NFT collection, there's 5 major steps to this as well. So you're gonna want to convert your money from USD to crypto, so whatever crypto you want it to be, if it's Ethereum, if it's Polygon, whatever it might be, that's what you're gonna need to do. Next, if you don't have a digital wallet already, you're gonna have to create one, or you're gonna have to transfer those funds from your crypto exchange into your digital wallet, and then you're gonna need to do your research. After you do your research, like I said, you're ready to now list your NFTs. As you guys can see, this slide is very similar to the one that we had earlier in regards to buying NFTs. So the steps are very, very similar. It's very much of, you need your crypto, get it into the digital wallet, you're either listing or buying, you're doing your research, and you're ready to go. So these are the major steps. And if you guys would like to learn more about this as well, we do have a QR code that you guys can scan to actually set up your wallet as well. All right, so next we're going to be going into the future of NFTs. All right, so the future of NFTs actually hold a lot of potential. I am curious, what are some very interesting ways that you guys have seen NFTs being used? If you don't see it up here, would anybody like to share any cool ways that they've come across? Go for it.
Well, I've seen some restaurants, they're in the process of working on creating an NFT attached to a secret menu.
Okay.
So say you go to Legacy Hall, and if you have that NFT, you can get access to the secret menu. So
That's
say
good,
that is
awesome.
another way.
Okay, I like that.
Patients are trying to do some trial. Patients are putting their own diseases or mental health
Okay.
as NFT for a clinical trial.
Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. And you're back here?
The NFT funding treasury in the DAO.
Mhm.
If you want to expound on that, I would appreciate that too.
Of course, of course. Anyone else have any cool use cases they've come across? Okay. All right, so here I'm just gonna go ahead and share a few ways in which I've seen NFTs being displayed. One is visual. It's by far my favorite. These are real world NFTs. You can get the real world NFT, and then you could also get the digital side of it. This is one of my favorites. I think it's perfect for brands. Anybody looking to really get into this space, I think if you take the digital approach, you could definitely win. It'll give you, it's like a payment processor in a sense. An example here is Agami. This is an amazing company. They are actually looking to integrate the NFT into the glass of their watches. So if you guys would like to learn more about these, definitely feel free to stop by and talk to me later after, and I can kind of go more in depth. But next is real estate and digital twins. Real2 is it's an amazing company as well. I would just really hate to just sit up here and be like, oh, amazing company. But all these are actually really, really amazing companies. It's a company that is actually looking to, use NFTs for real estate, hence the Real2 name. But next would be law. So this law firm here, Howland and Knight, they are actually looking to actually do like restraining orders and everything with NFTs. And another way in which I've seen NFTs being used is in the UK. They actually just made it just last month to where you can actually airdrop someone a law, like an actual, like anything that you want to go against them, a restraining order or whatever through an NFT. So I think that's, just a really amazing way in which you can use NFTs. And then next here, I have books. I don't know if everyone can see this, but books is another great way. I'm a big fan of books and just using this technology for that reason, because now it kind of cuts out of the middleman. And then also, if you're wanting to resell these projects, you can put up royalty and you can always profit off of these books. You don't just have to profit off the first sale. If you actually connect it to an NFT, you can always be able to make a profit down the road. And then next is ticketing, where we'll see, I think, a lot of places will get into ticketing with NFTs, whether that be the event space, whether that be games, whether that be just anything as far as like even flying on an airplane. I think that could eventually get to NFTs. And then last but not least is identity. This could be proof of humanity, as you can see up here. This could be proof of attendance, what we just had earlier. And then also this could even be what this gentleman here was just talking about in regards to DAOs. You can use this as a form of identity. So, if you have an NFT, you'll have it in your wallet. It will also give you access to voting rights on, anything. So it's just really a matter of how you decide to use this, this form of technology. And this here is just a slide. You guys can just read it. Just let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave this here, let you guys take a nice little read. So this here, it says, for anybody who can't see it in the back, it says, majority of the people make fun of NFTs. But the truth is, spending money on digital things will become so normal to our children that they will not have the ability to comprehend the world without the digital economy. And this was by none other than Rich off NFTs. So that was the joke. So if anybody didn't get it, that's what it was. So just meet Rich off NFTs, and this is him from Toonie 55. So, all right, and that was the end of my presentation here. I would definitely love it if you guys would, give a course review. There's a course survey that you guys can definitely check out, the social links as well, and then anything else that you guys want to scan.
And the live stream.
Okay.
Bye, everybody on the live stream.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.